Hits and misses. Will Man City's missed chances cost them the title? The pendulum swings back Arsenal's way. The Gunners came from behind twice before scoring 2 goals in injury time to beat Aston Villa, a feat City were powerless to match after getting pegged back by Nottingham Forest 2 hours later. This will feel like a loss. The prolific Erling Haaland went missing. Pep Guardiola, booked for confronting the fourth official over an incident involving the Norwegian striker, was unusually composed in his post-match address. Please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. He bemoaned missed chances and was critical of poor defending for the goal conceded, but also gave a glowing review of a brilliant performance. His body language on the sidelines during the game said otherwise. Guardiola spent almost the entirety of the first half with his hands on his hips on the edge of his technical area. He was anxiously watching wave after wave of City attacks end in disappointment. A week that began with so much promise outshining Arsenal on their own patch has ended in regret. This was the moment to seize control of the title race, and City stuttered. How they might come to rue those opportunities missed. Laura Hunter, please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. What a difference a week makes. Nathan Jones was dismissed in the wake of a disappointing 2-1 home defeat to 10-man Wolves, which prompted anger from disgruntled supporters. That loss, a 7th from 8 top-flight games under the Welshman, left Southampton 4 points from safety with 16 games remaining and with just 4 wins all season. Live Premier League table. Premier League fixtures. Get Sky Sports. Download the Sky Sports app. Ruben Selles has been tasked with uniting the struggling South Coast club, and having insisted they have a squad capable of avoiding relegation, he could not have made a better start to his audition for the position on a full-time basis. Selles feels he is as capable as any other candidate after a stunning end to a turbulent week. Failed talks with former Leeds boss Jesse Marsch now look like a blessing in disguise. The 39-year-old Spaniard has held various coaching roles across Europe during his career, including in Greece, Azerbaijan, and Denmark, but is yet to be a full-time manager. Please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. He had a one-match stint as Saints caretaker earlier this season, a penalty shootout victory over League One Sheffield Wednesday in the Carabao Cup, before Jones was confirmed as successor to Ralph Hasenhüttl. Southampton committed 24 fouls against Chelsea, the most in a Premier League game so far this season. This was a tigerish display, one that had been conspicuously lacking under both Hasenhüttl and Jones. There have been false dawns already for Saints this season, most notably after positive results at home to Chelsea and away to Manchester City. Southampton have completed the league double against Chelsea for the first time since the 1987-88 season. There are the hallmarks of an exciting, young team. This time, under Selles, it has to act as a springboard to something more tangible. Had Southampton lost, they would have been 7 points adrift of safety, given the results elsewhere on a day when relegation battlers bared their teeth. While they are still waiting for ignition at Stamford Bridge, Selles must surely now be in pole position to land the Southampton job on a permanent basis. One result doesn't make a season, and the visit to Leeds at Elland Road next week will be an entirely different proposition. Ben Ground's Chelsea's wretched form has seen them win just twice from their last 14 Premier League games, with goal-scoring a major issue. They have scored just 8 times in those last 14 fixtures. In fact, they have found the net just 23 times in their 23 league games, the same number they have conceded. Graham Potter is arguably the antithesis to Atletico Madrid manager Diego Simeone, so it is perhaps no surprise that Joao Felix had looked so liberated prior to this personal setback at home to Southampton. It is an irony that the best player Chelsea have got they don't actually own. His qualities must be utilized if Potter is to get out of this particular hole. Felix's license to play freely was seen at Fulham and West Ham, but he was on the periphery here. On his debut at Craven Cottage, and indeed in scoring at the London Stadium, the Portuguese still looked like he was missing a striker to play off. Felix is like Zola without his Vialli. Saturday was the turn of David Datro Fofana to audition. The raw 20-year-old Ivorian signed for £11 million from Molde last month. After 45 minutes in the FA Cup defeat at Manchester City and a 15-minute cameo against Fulham, this was his full Chelsea debut. He had played well before being replaced at halftime. What message will that send to the youngster? There was a sense of finality about Romelu Lukaku's move back to Inter Milan last summer on a 2-year loan deal, but you just wonder if Chelsea might explore ways of bringing the Belgian back now that other pieces of the attacking jigsaw are in place. Until that problem position is solved, Chelsea will be less than the sizable sum of their parts. Ben Grounds, please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. At times this season, Goodison Park has not been the most harmonious of places. Fan protests before and after games against the running of the club from owner Farhad Moshiri and the club's board have dominated much of the season so far, while empty seats in the director's box at the stadium have become a feature of Everton's home games. But despite all of that, there is no denying how important a factor Goodison is to the players, who secured what could be a crucial 1-0 win over relegation rivals Leeds. We saw it at the end of last season when Everton's home form played a huge part in them staying in the top flight. But it wasn't something former boss Frank Lampard was able to build on, and 4 straight home defeats in his last 4 games played a big part in his eventual dismissal. However, new boss Sean Dyche is now 2 wins from 2 with 2 clean sheets at home, and it's something he wants to continue to build on. We want to make this a tough place to come, and we are doing that with 2 wins and 2 clean sheets, Dyche said. Home form is a big help, we want it to become a fortress. We're getting there, but it takes time and belief. It's a one game at a time mentality, that's what I believe. Similar words have been heard before, but the platform is there to make it a reality. Aston Villa are the visitors next week, and a 3rd straight home win would continue to build the hope that Everton can pull away from danger quicker than expected. Oliver U. Everton have won each of their first 2 Premier League games at Goodison Park under Sean Dyche, having lost 4 in a row before he took over. They last won consecutive home games in April 2022. Please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. If a stoppage time goal is a sign of champions, then how about 2 of them? How about 3 in the final third of a game that has flipped the title race once more? After an hour at Villa Park, Arsenal were contemplating finishing 3 points behind Manchester City. Instead, they ended at 2 points clear with that game in hand remaining. This 4-2 win over Aston Villa could come to be seen as a pivotal point in the season. Asked after his team's game, but before City's surprise slip against Nottingham Forest, if the comeback had restored belief, Mikel Arteta suggested that there is more belief than ever. That makes sense. Arsenal were facing a 5th game without a win when down at halftime. They came out for the second half early, gathered themselves in a huddle and set about starting the recovery. Completing it had them absolutely bouncing, according to Arteta. Jorginho has stepped into midfield and contributed. Ben White was brilliant on his return to the team. Gabriel Martinelli looked brighter off the bench. Arsenal have had a wobble. The hope now is that this can be the galvanizing moment in their season. Adam Bate, when Aston Villa lost at home to Leicester, there were those supporters at Villa Park who felt convinced that this performance was proof of the folly of passing out from the back. The sight of players dispossessed in deep areas, gifting goals, was too much to take. Unai Emery sees it differently, and he was more troubled by the defeat to Arsenal this weekend. The score was the same, a 4-2 home defeat, and the opposition was stronger. But the manner of this loss frustrated him more because his team did not try to pass the ball. We were with ball possession in minute 92 and did not keep possession. We did a long ball. Gave them the ball. They attacked progressively in the attacking third, and they scored the 3rd goal. That is the example of the match for me. It is not what I want to build here. Against Leicester, we lost the ball building up easy and with bad decisions, but that is the way, taking good decisions in the build-up. Today, we did not give the ball away in the build-up, but we were doing long ball more times, giving them more balls that we have to keep. There will be difficult times ahead at Villa if they are to persist with Emery's way. It is a more ambitious approach and places more technical demands on the players. but his obvious disappointment suggests